Hello, everyone, and welcome to Bet 99's The Parleh Show. It is Tuesday. I'm Rob Conway, and that is Albert Vartanian. And we have a little bit to talk about here when it comes to the Home Run Derby. We got some NHL news to get to as well.
Some winners and losers from the Derby?
Some winners and losers from the Derby. I have a pretty good story about how great I am at handicapping a Derby. And also joining us, though, back on the show, first time live here on the Sports Grid, it is our NHL guru. I say this every time. Our former NHLer and betting guru, but also NHL
and
guru.
NHL guru.
That's right, Matthew Barnaby. Barney, you are live from
Buffalo, New York.
Buffalo, New York. I know. I love it.
Yes.
You put out on Instagram a picture of wings, and you said Buffalo, baby, and I was assuming you're in Buffalo, but you could have also just been saying you're having buffalo wings. I wasn't 100% certain that you were in Buffalo.
They aren't called buffalo wings when you're in other parts of the world, but
okay.
Chicken wings.
Chicken wings.
They're
right.
chicken wings. So if
My
I
apologies.
say buffalo wings or buffalo, I'm in Buffalo. I love it here. Awesome fans. Lived here for like 25 years. My kids are from here, so nice to get back. Right after the show, headed to play Country Club of Buffalo with a lot of old golf buddies. So going to be a great day.
That's awesome. If you were to pick one, like the one city you played in, it's Buffalo, right? That's it. I mean, Pittsburgh, you're popular. New York, you're popular too, but Buffalo's the one?
Yeah, I think so. I think I came in here as a 19-year-old kid being drafted, and my kids were born here and spent half my life in Buffalo, New York. So this would be the place where here in Canada, everyone's like, does everyone recognize you? Listen, I go to New York or Chicago, no one has a clue who I am. In Canada, it's hockey crazy, as you guys know, and Buffalo, New York. It's awesome coming back. Love the food here, love the people, everything about it.
Beautiful. You're there all week till you get back up this way?
Yeah, I headed there Friday for Zach Brown Band and the play Hamilton. The wife's meeting me up there, going up with a bunch of people from Buffalo, meeting in Toronto. I'm going to spend 3 days there.
All right, sounds good. Well, we're glad to have you in Toronto. I'll be seeing you shortly as well as we get the 36 Open going. But we had some pretty exciting baseball yesterday.
Good times.
I got to say, man, we're going to talk about it, but that was the most exciting version of since Vince Carter when he won the slam dunk competition. I've never been that interested in something than I was last night. The guys were absolutely mashing the ball.
Right.
Other than Mookie Betts, who I told you might have been a little bit diminutive when it comes to the home run derby.
A touch.
But it was unbelievable. Rosarena was out. The personality was there. Rutschman goes switch and still hits 27 home runs. Luis Robert was great. And, of course, Vladdy getting it done. Pete Alonso, two-time champ. It looked like he did nothing. He still hit 20-something bombs.
I just think he wasn't even there.
Yeah.
But there you go. Julio Rodriguez. He stepped up, kind of, blew all his energy out in the first round, and that was different.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about
dude,
Julio.
I bet the long shots when it comes to home run derby, right? But Mookie Betts, what a bad move that was. Jeez. I was expecting something a bit better.
I mean, he's too small, right, Barney? I mean, you were on Vladdy?
I was on Vladdy plus 360. Yeah, he's a beast, man. And you guys know how much I hate All-Star festivities and know it's for kids and sponsors alike. But that was fun to watch. They were into it, man. It was funny. Anyone that's athletic of any kind knows how tiring that was. You could just see how tired they'd get with the 30 seconds left and the rest in between. But they were mashing the ball. But it's always better when you win almost 4 times the money you put in. Plus 360, Vladdy. Love it, baby.
Well, Bobby over here, you made a killing last night.
I was all over the first round. I swept the first round, and as we did the last yesterday, I had the final too. I had Vladdy against Rosarena. I had a Rosarena to win because he's plus 1100. But I mean, I sprinkle a little on Vladdy too. But if they should have a home run derby every week, I would be
rake it in the cash.
Yeah, I mean, it would be unbelievable.
I had never. I had
picked something so
Rodriguez in the first matchup against Pete.
You did. We both had that, yeah. And I took Robert, obviously, over Rutschman. When I saw Rutschman put up 27, I was like, oh, that's the first one.
I'm like, his dad's pitching to him, too. I'm like, oh, my God, he's going to win this.
He's going to win it for sure. And he was unbelievable. But, yeah, no, it's honestly, I don't know what other sporting All-Star games can do, but I think, Barney, you said it best. The guys want to be there, too. The buy-in is so huge, and it's the exact opposite when it comes to, the dunk contest. And even though all the stars show up, to the NHL, it's just they're not interested.
No. I mean, in the dunk contest, if you put in LeBron, Zion Williamson, John Morant, you throw those guys in, then it's that's a marquee event.
Yeah, go ahead, Barn.
They don't want to do it. And even I go back to my NHL days, I play with Jaromir Jagr. He looked for any excuse to get out of the All-Star game. Any excuse. Now, he wanted to go to Vegas, but that's a story for a different day. But yeah, like the guys buy into the home run contest, and that's why it's by far the best event in any sport. The dunk contest used to be unbelievable, but it's not the same anymore. But the home run derby, man, it was awesome.
Yeah, and part of it too, like I feel like for at least the NBA and Major League Baseball, the guys want to be seen there, right? Like they everyone's there to watch the home run derby too. They don't have to be there. They're there to watch it. They want to be on the sidelines. They want to be in there high-fiving and having fun. And although the slam dunk competition in particular is not that exciting, I think the 3-point's probably better now. Yeah. The actual game, all the guys want to go, and they all want to play in the game at least as well. They want to be seen. They want to be that weekend. They want to be there because they want to be around LeBron and they want to be around the former stars and all that stuff. And as much as the NHL guys do show up, contractually, I just don't feel the same way. And the NFL is not even close.
Well, look at Mookie Betts, right? His wife convinced him to go and do the home run derby and be a part of it because he's done everything in his career, but this is one thing that you probably should do. So there's still an important part to these players where, like, I want to be a part of it. And if you look at the derby, right, it's all the stars. I mean, some guys, don't want to go. And Spencer Strider was one, Kevin Gausman, but understandable considering like how much, how taxing pitching in the first half of the season is on their arms.
Yeah. Vern?
And you talked about hockey guys not wanting to be there. I think, contractually, it's just so important because, like I said, the kids love it. Any All-Star game that I've covered for a media outlet or just been there, as much as I think it's, just a circus and who cares about the game, the kids love it.
Barney, we got to jump here. We got to head to commercial, but we're going to talk about a little bit of NHL when we come back here on the Parleh Show, brought to you by Bet99. All right, welcome back to Bet99's The Parleh Show. Rob Conway, Albert Vartanian in Toronto, and Matthew Barnaby joining us live from Buffalo. And wanted to get into a little bit of NHL news. Finally, a little bit of action since the draft and free agency and all that stuff. Barney, you're in Buffalo right now, but you reside in Ottawa and friends with Pierre Dorion. We both got to golf with him at the Sens tournament earlier this year, and it was a lot of fun. But this DeBrincat situation, Barney, obviously, look, they had no choice. This is what he wanted to do. They moved on. They got something for him. He signs a 4-year deal. How do you think this all played out there in Ottawa?
Well, it was inevitable. They had to do it. They took a flyer in acquiring him last year for the Blackhawks, and long term they wanted to sign him, and that's what any great GM does or good GM does is try to better their team. They're a worse team today than they were a couple days ago, and that's just what the reality of losing, a guy in his down year that he had last year, but he's a legit 40-goal scorer. So this in the short term it isn't good for the Ottawa Senators, but in the end, it had to be done because in a year where DJ Smith and Pierre Dorion probably get 1 year to try to make the playoffs and extend their contracts as GM and coach of the Ottawa Senators with the new ownership, you couldn't have this be a distraction all year long because this would have been all year long when they're trying to make the playoffs, take that next step. The distraction would have been, why doesn't DeBrincat want to sign here long term? And yes, he never formally asked for a trade, but when you won't sign long term for a lot of money, the writing's on the wall. And I'm glad that Pierre Dorion did this early. Kubalik's a good player. Zerano is going to be a good prospect. They get a first and a fourth under condition back. But this was a necessity. But right now, what does Pierre do with that extra cap space? I'm curious because I think he'll use it to go improve this team because, again, they have to make the playoffs this year.
I think this is a hell of a deal for the Detroit Red Wings. I mean, you're getting DeBrincat, who had a down year. The guy still had 66 points, 27 goals, scored 41 twice, and he's making less than $8 million for a guy who scored twice. I always bring it back to the Leafs somehow, but you look at the Nylander situation, he's asking for 10. You see that, you're like, well, if these guys are taking less to go where they want to go, maybe he should be doing that. But regardless, for Detroit, I love it. I love his vision here. It's just tough to say, like, in terms of if the Red Wings are ready to make the playoffs. Like, to get into that second wildcard spot this past season was 92 points, I believe, with the Panthers. Detroit finished with 80. Does this take them over the top? Do they need to add more? But either way, it's a fantastic starting point.
Yeah.
Yeah, they win the trade. Anytime you get the best player, and he's by far the best player in this trade, and you need a lot of things to work out when you acquire prospects. Kubelik's a good player,
Yeah,
but he's not going to score 40. And that's what DeBrincat does for Detroit. Listen, the player's happy. Steve Yzerman did a great job in adding a guy to the mix that's 25 years old. Do they make the playoffs? It's going to be tight. I think the Senators are still a better team than a Detroit, but Detroit got better through this trade. So we're going to have to see how it all plays out. But any team trying to make the playoffs, you have to take a team out of the playoffs. I think that's where we're at. And right now, I think if you look around, the Eastern Conference in general, Boston's probably the team that got hit the hardest so far with guys not being signed.
Anybody want to know who the favorite to win the Eastern Conference is at Bet99?
It's Toronto.
It's
gotta be Toronto. Yeah, of course it is. Yeah,
Toronto Maple Leafs, of course. But I wanted to ask you this. We're going to get into the Leafs, and we're going to get into Nylander and what his demands are, and then talking about a guy like DeBrincat taking under $8 million, whether or not that's a bit of a haircut or not. As fans, when you watch a team and you cheer for a team, you naturally say, take less money, so we can spread it around, so we can do this, so we can do that. As a former player and a member of the PA, what is it like as a player when you want to do that, and yet if you're Nylander, aren't you kind of looking at DeBrincat going, excuse me, I'm trying to negotiate my contract, I don't appreciate you taking $1 million less a year?
For sure.
On so many things to unpack here, because I'm going to start with being in the union, being in the PA. They're always pushing, get the most. The most. And that's just the reality of being in a union. You don't want to take contracts that are less because it hurts everyone in line, because everything's comparables and measurables to statistics. So him taking less, we were talking even last year in training camp when we played with Pierre, not with him, but us, we were like, he's looking at 8 times 9. It's going to be $72 million. So for him to take something under $8 million certainly affects a guy like Nylander, but they're never going to use that contract in negotiation. They're going to use other contracts in negotiations to try to get to where they want to be. Should a player take less or fight for more? I think it's all personal. If you're happy in Tampa Bay and you're not paying state tax and your family is so happy, why go chase another $1 million? If you're a guy at maybe $2 million and trying to fight for $3 million where you should be, well, then it's a no-brainer, because that's changing lifestyles, because it is a short career. So I don't begrudge anyone that fights for as much money as they can, because it is a business. And I don't begrudge anyone for taking less to be where they want to be, whether it's helping the team out financially, like a Bergeron or Stamp, whoever it may be, or a guy that's just happy in the situation and it's enough money, like 7.8 or 9 million after taxes, after agent fees. It's not going to change his lifestyle. So I don't begrudge anyone for the way that they do it. As for fans, they always want guys to take less. Reality is, would you take less to do your job? And I know it's not the same kind of money, but people always want to make as much as they can.
Yeah, and it's a total lifestyle thing for him, too. He's a Michigan kid. He said he always wanted to play for Detroit, so it's a no-brainer for him. But what about, Barney, if you're the Leafs, is there a concern here, too? Because you saw what Ottawa got back for a 2-time 40-goal scorer. Now you're thinking, well, if we're not signing Nylander to what he wants, we're going to have to flip him. What's the return going to be like for us?
Yeah, it's always one of those things when you trade a guy, a lot of you, like, Toronto's not in like, let's get prospects back.
No.
Yeah.
Right? They're in a win now mentality. Now, if you get prospects back and you're able to flip them for another player somewhere else, and I think that's what Ottawa probably ends up doing with some of this cap space and prospect pool that they have, to be able to maybe parlay that into an everyday good NHLer. But yeah, there's always concern when you're dealing with a star player that wants to leave or wants too much money, or you're forced to trade him. And I really think Nylander is in that spot both ways. Contractually, they can't give him $10 million if that's what he's fighting for, and they need, I think, to be a championship caliber team, still some help on the back end. So yeah, all that's a concern in a return, and that's what being a GM is like, trying to maximize your value and make the right decisions. And sometimes you make the right one, sometimes you make the wrong one.
One thing we were talking about off air, and I'll get your kind of opinion on it, Barney, like, is there anything you're excited for left in the NHL for this offseason? It just seems that, like, the NBA is always crazy. The NFL, look at Rodgers going over the Jets. There's always somebody moving. Brady leaves the Patriots and goes to the Bucs, wins the Super Bowl. Just crazy stuff's always happening. And yet, in the NHL, it doesn't seem like there's a lot going on. Do you have any expectations for anything this offseason, or are we just rolling into training camp coming up?
No, I mean, being in Ottawa and Toronto, we've covered the two storylines. Does Ottawa make the playoffs and they have new ownership? Who's going to be running this team in a year from now? So that's a lot to play out for, the off season and going into next season. That's because I'm close to it. Being in Toronto and being the mecca of hockey, can they take it to the next level? They get rid of Dubas and bring in Treliving. They're obviously making changes. How that all unfolds. So I think those are two massive storylines, and we don't have what the NBA has and the NFL in that fact. Not that there isn't big trades and things happening all the time. Yes, but I think they're a little bit more subtle. NFL, you cut a guy that's making $18 million. You just cut him, like a guy like Dalvin Cook. Now he's trying to get like $8 million on the open market and can't find a taker. So there's so many, I think, more things that happen, especially in the NBA, because those guys run the league. Like, the players literally run the league. They decide where they're going to go, when they're going to go. And when guys get released in the NFL, then it's like free reign. So we don't have that in the NHL.
Definitely don't. But we're going to fire off to a break here. Barney, you're going to take off. You're heading to Country Club of Buffalo. You are ready to go with your Jay Lindbergh shirt, your Ricky Fowler Puma hat, and just over your left shoulder is maybe a precursor to what's coming up, a little Merlot. Not on the golf course, though. You can't have red wine on the golf course. But nonetheless, Barney, play well today. We will see you. You'll be back on Friday. You're going to be in this area on Friday, so we will see you
Toronto.
there. All right. Rock and roll. Okay, thank you very much. Matthew Barnaby, Rob Conway, and Albert will be back with James Sharman after this. All right, welcome back to Bet99's The Parleh Show. Rob Conway, Albert Vartanian, and joining us now, the man, the myth, the legend, James Sharman.
How's it going, boys? You good?
Yeah, we're good, man. We're just talking about the Derby. Talking to Barney
Derby.
about some Nylander action. DeBrincat, we talked about on the other show.
Yeah, no, I was watching. It's great.
Yeah.
So. Barney's pretty good.
Yeah,
he's great, and some, like you said, great insight on what it's like to be part of a union too. Like, and the idea, take less money. It's like, imagine someone on your street, you own a house, and they're like, sold a house for $200,000 less. You'd be like, what the hell's going on here? Now my house is $200,000 less because of you.
True.
And so it's the same idea, right? You're all part of a team here.
Yeah, but then if you want to go to Detroit, like DeBrincat, right, and they can only pay you X amount of dollars, right? Are you obligated to say, no, I want to get more money somewhere else because of the union? Or do you go where you want to go? And sure, you take $1 million less than you can make maybe on the open market. But it's where you want to go.
Yeah.
So I get the union pressure.
Yeah.
But I mean, like Barney said, it's an individual choice here. I totally understand that. If you want to go where you're comfortable but make less money, good for you. If you want to be a mercenary and go anywhere for the most money, good for you.
Yeah.
It's sport, right?
This is a job just like it is anything else, playing in the NHL or playing in the MLB or the NBA. So it's whatever works for you and your family, you're going to do best.
Yeah.
And we would do the exact same thing. 100%. So there's no reason why these NHLers won't do that too. He's going back to Detroit. He's a Michigan guy. Okay, he's taking him a bit less, but he's going to be happy and his family's going to be happy. That means sometimes a lot more than money.
It does?
I believe so.
No, I want to get
Money buys happiness, doesn't it?
That's right. That's
trying
what
to speak
I
from the heart here, Bobby.
No, you're absolutely correct. Of course, you're going to make that decision 100 times out of 100 to make sure everybody's happy. But I think there would be a little bit of union pressure for sure, right? Definitely. I mean, that's the way it is, and other players as well wanting to get that. But also yesterday, James, some excitement at the Midsummer Classic. Do we still call it that? That's the
tonight is the Midsummer.
That'd be tonight, right?
Yeah, that's tonight. Yeah.
So what's last night?
The day before the Midsummer Classic. It was extremely exciting. I really did. I really enjoyed it. I mean, the idea of having all of these younger players too, and Ali Rutschman going switch hitter, and maybe guys that a lot of people. It's such a regional sport, so like guys like Louis Robert and Rosarena, and even Ali Rutschman as well. People don't know about these guys, and it's a good opportunity to see them. Yeah, the Vladdies, the Shoheis, Mookie Betts, everyone knows those guys. But some of the guys that are really just athletic beasts, and then you get to see them out there. It was pretty exciting.
It was, and can they now build in it for the rest of the season, the important games, right? But yeah, I mean, I don't come from an all-star culture, where I come from, there aren't really all-star games per se, so I think they're all kind of silly, to be honest with you.
Testimonials
when you retire to make some money for charity and stuff, maybe a few bucks in your account. But this was great, and you compare it to what the slam dunk used to be.
Sure.
I think this is now number one for sure.
Oh, yeah.
And you've seen these personalities and even the players around, gathering around. You know, we saw Bo Bichette interviewing Sara, right? It's interesting. It's fun. They're kind of building their brands and their personalities and seeing Vladdy do it. I mean, is Vladdy the most recognizable Toronto athlete at this point? Because we know him as Vladdy. Austin Matthews is well known.
In Toronto or outside of Toronto?
In Toronto right now.
In Toronto.
I think Vladdy's probably more well known than Austin Matthews, just because of the brand and what he's creating there. And so with this now, this wasn't his Vince Carter moment, but it's not far off.
No.
Right?
That's tough. I mean, you can even throw. I know he's not as big possibly as Vladdy, but you can throw Siakam in there.
No.
You don't think so? In Toronto?
I don't think so.
Toronto's a massive basketball city now.
And with the championship,
and he's got a ring.
I think Kawhi would have qualified. Kyle would have qualified. Maybe
I think Pascal.
Siakam,
I think Pascal and
he's
Guerrero
a
are close.
great basketball player.
Would it have been Fred before Fred left? Before Siakam?
Probably. Yeah, I would say Fred.
Yeah, probably.
But still, like, Toronto, as much as I say is a basketball city, it's the Leafs town. Let's be honest. And it's Marner and Matthews.
It is, but we don't refer to Austin Matthews as Austin. Right?
But if I did, you know what I was talking
Guerrero
about,
Jr.
right?
Vladdy, yeah, probably.
Right?
Well, it's also because we called his pops Vladdy, too.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
There's that name recognition with his dad.
He's got the image, he's got the dreads.
He's got everything,
He's got this
and he's
larger-than-life personality, it seems,
Yeah.
and can speak English a bit better. That'll come in time, obviously.
I believe he can speak English. He just
he does some
chooses not
interviews.
to.
Yeah, I know. I think you just go for it.
Yeah.
No one would judge him.
But you're right. I do like the personality at the Derby. Like, everyone's hanging out with each other. Like, he's giving Julio Rodriguez tips. The guy's going up against. He's giving Randy Rosarena tips.
Exactly.
But still wanting to win.
I think watching high level athletes interact like that is fun for everyone to watch too, right? You see it online with content and stuff. When you get two guys together and they sit down and they're just chatting, and in this case you're not hearing what they're saying, but you can see the fun they're having. It adds such a
good
different element.
Right, yeah. It's so true. When you see like a journalist interview an athlete, it's always that guard's always up.
Yeah.
When you see a contemporary interview him, you don't see that often. I don't know why. But that's when the guard comes down and the athlete feels safe. Mm-hmm. And I think they're always the best interviews. Yeah,
you're seeing them a lot more now with athlete podcasts. But back to like the skills competition in the NHL, the best part for me is when the players are mic'd up and they're interacting.
Yeah.
And they're sitting down, they're shooting the breeze. Same thing during the All-Star game. Like, I remember a clip. It was Jeremy Roenick. I can't remember what All-Star game it was, but he told Joe Thornton, I think, he's like, I got to go lay someone out. And he hit someone in the corner, came back, and then they're laughing and stuff. That's the best part of the All-Star game, honestly.
I agree. It's the interaction. It's the personality building. It's just, like you say, there's always the guard up all the time, and it seems to come down a little bit at these, basically exhibitions, but they are what they are. And the one thing about baseball, although, it's John Schneider or Adley Rutschman's dad throwing a pitch, it's not quite the same, but it's a pretty reflective of what the sport is, which is, in this case, for home runs, power.
That was interesting, though, seeing Schneider, right? I mean, these guys go way back to the minor leagues, obviously. You do wonder, do an athlete and their coach want to be separate for a few days over the All-Star break? Do they get sick of each other? But obviously not in this case. So it's great to see John Schneider throwing out those pitches because they got a really deep connection, it seems, those two.
I have one critique that I keep hitting you guys with.
Yes.
In terms of like production-wise, they need to improve it. Don't you think the split screen, there's so much going on. Yeah. You don't know what homer is actually going out. Was it the last one? Or they're still waiting for that one to go out? Yeah. They just got to, I think, put the track, man, like they do in golf, right behind the back catcher so we can see where the balls are going. It's still a good view, and you don't have to go split screen that much, right?
Focus more on the actual event
itself. Let's see him hit. You ever play like the MLB games, the show?
Yeah.
And you have that angle where you're the batter?
Yeah.
Like, they can use that in real life.
They could.
I don't know where you put it, though.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, you still have to get the technology part of it, too. The TrackMan is a machine, and it has to be somewhere.
Do you need a catcher there? I know they're vocal.
The catcher last night was great.
He was
giving
great.
tips the whole time.
I loved it.
I loved it. Yeah.
Does he need to be there?
I don't know. They could. They just can't. The ball just can't go flying to the backstop.
No, they need like
the old pitching machine.
Don't they have a robot for that now? Like,
robot umps. Maybe we want to see it done first of all in the All-Star game, perhaps.
Yeah,
right. They're on their way. They are.
I'm not trying to do away with the pitchers, but I will say I would hate to be one of those pitchers.
Pressure, man.
Oh my goodness. Rosarena's guy was all over the place. He was throwing them like sinkers. It's like, come on, hit your spot.
I know. And they were talking about the technique of Rodriguez's guy because he didn't move his legs.
Yeah, he was
just dropping them in there, I don't know. It was cool.
He was locked in, actually.
Cool. If you're a professional baseball person and you can't throw a pitch in the strike zone, at that speed with a bit of pressure, then maybe it shouldn't be in baseball.
It's true.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, for John Schneider, he's got his eyes closed. You can just throw him. He doesn't.
Schneider was pretty locked in. I'll give it
life.
to Schneider. Yeah.
He's got experience, too. They talk about experience mainly. Ali Rutschman's dad probably hasn't thrown in a home run derby before. So
there's no chance if I had to do that, I'd use my dad. That ball would be all over the map, dude.
No. Anyway, it is the summer. It is the summer, and we wanted to talk a little bit about what was the biggest summer moment. I mean, it's a little bit of a lull, and it usually would revolve around maybe golf, tennis, or baseball. I was saying that my two biggest moments, I was at Joe Carter's home run, which is a summer sport for baseball, of course, in October. I was also 7 years old.
Doesn't count. I mean, it's amazing you were there.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Doesn't
but it
count.
wasn't the summer.
That's right. And then the other thing, which I would say changed my sporting life, was watching Tiger win the Masters in 1997 in April. Also does not qualify.
No.
So I came up with mine. So my biggest summer moment was my dad is from Scotland. He's from Edinburgh. I'd won a poker tournament online that got me in a poker tournament in England and Brighton. We went down there. My dad's family is now not in Edinburgh. They're in Fife, which is right by St. Andrews. Just happened to be the week of the British Open. And Tiger won that weekend, and it was Jack's last British Open. That was a pretty cool sporting experience in the summer for me, as well as getting to tour Scotland with my dad, first time back there with him.
That is very cool. So you saw Jack's last round.
That last little wave on the bridge, yeah.
Wow, that's impressive. Yeah, it's tough. I mean, for me,
I don't know.
I mean, as far as, leagues shut down, and aside from baseball over here, in England, cricket is a summer sport, right? So I've got some great memories of the Ashes, which is England, Australia. They're great moments, but I guess it's probably more, for me, tournaments. World Cups used to be in the summer, right? June, July, some of those great memories kind of stand out, being hot and sweaty watching a World Cup final. They're pretty cool in the summer, but I mean, as far as being at an event, I haven't got too much, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, the summer, too, like... I used to cover Glory Kickboxing. Used to shoot documentaries, like fighters behind the scenes. And I believe it was it was July or August. I can't remember what year, but it was at Madison Square Garden.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so I was in the middle of Madison Square Garden filming this fight. So that moment, if I mention the fighters, you guys wouldn't know who they are. Actually, yeah, you will. It was Alex Pereira against Yusri Belgawi, and Pereira knocked him out.
Okay.
So it was Pereira before he came to UFC.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right. So that's
I thought you were
going
to say it was Pereira versus
Yeah.
Adesanya. I'm like, we would have known that.
And also another one would be same thing, Glory Kickboxing in Amsterdam. I believe it was August, and I was filming ringside, and it was Rico Verhoeven. He won his heavyweight title, he had the title, he won, but I was in the middle of Ajax Stadium, Johan Cruyff Stadium.
Oh, that's amazing.
And it was packed. Yeah. So those two for me.
I actually, Steve Nash used to have these cage soccer games in New York City every summer with celebrities and big name players. I went there and covered that once and interviewed Steve Nash a couple of times, and Thierry Henry was there.
Jeez.
And he stiffed me for an interview.
He did?
I went up to him and said, "Hey Thierry, can I have a minute?" He goes, "First the children." And he walks over, and this kids surround him. It's like one of those videos.
Yeah.
And he's signing autographs and talking. And I think, okay, I'll wait my time. Thierry Henry, he'll come to me eventually after the children get served. And he never came to me.
You hate him?
And because of that, I hate Thierry Henry.
I hate him too. Nice.
Different reasons. Arsenal player, yeah.
They didn't ask you to play, man? Get in the cage?
No. There were some good players.
Yeah,
there were actually a lot of NBA guys.
Steve Nash can play.
Oh, he's legit.
Yeah, he's legit.
He's a really good player. Yeah.
I thought we were going to talk about personal sporting moments in the summer that we've been
yeah.
Hole in one? Anyone's got a hole in one?
No, never. I wish, dude.
I'm not much of a golfer.
That doesn't matter.
Until you teach me.
That's not the thing. Like, I've heard hole in one stories from people that are like, oh yeah, so I was on a par 3, 140 yards, hit driver, rolled it up right in the hole, and I'm like, I don't want to hear it because I've never had one, and I'm jealous. And Barney's told
I've hit the pin.
his hole in one story. He's got 2 on this show about 100,000 times. So
I've hit the pin a few times.
Yeah. I one-hopped the pin. I almost went in. You know what that was? It was my second shot on the par 3. It would have been for par. If that had gone in, I would have been
greatest par of all time.
Greatest par of all time. All right, let's take a quick break, and we'll be back a little bit more with James Sharman after this. All right, welcome back to Bet 99's The Parleh Show. Rob Conway here, Albert Vartanian, and joining us once again is James Sharman. James, how are you?
I'm doing good.
You're
yeah,
still doing
I'm
well?
still a little bit. I mean, we're trying to compete with.
That was a terrible opening. I'm sorry. How are you? You've already been here for 10
same
minutes.
as I was 2 minutes ago.
Albert, how you doing?
I'm still trying to. I was going to go with that. I'm still trying to get over the fact that you saw Jack's last round, and how can we possibly? You had a good one. Good summer experience.
pretty cool.
Mine's kind of failed in comparison.
What I want? No, actually, I don't want to say. Watching the Ashes must have been kind of cool, but I wanted to ask you more about that because look, I know a lot about a lot of sports. Cricket is not one of them.
Yeah.
I remember my parents, they were in Scotland, or in England, sorry, for in the late 70s, early 80s, and they had come back from a soccer match, and the whole train was completely ripped apart, but they were going to a cricket match. And she thought, wow, look at this craziness that this is. And then they went to the cricket match, and halfway through they had tea.
Yeah.
And she thought, okay, that probably won't fly in North America, sort of thing. And what was the Ashes like though? Is it a test match long, or is it?
Yeah, the Ashes is a series.
Okay.
It goes back over 100 years,
right.
Australia and England, and it's all because many, many years ago, Australia beat England in Australia, right? And the headline in the paper was the death of the Ashes, and they had this ceremonial. They burnt the wickets, right, and the stumps and the wickets. The England burnt them, and the ashes were then put into this little tiny urn, literally like this big. So every couple of years now they compete, the Aussies and England, in the best of 5 test series, which is a 5-game match, and they compete for this little tiny urn. So you see the winning
cool.
team, which is usually Australia, at the end like hoisting this urn.
I've always
here,
wondered
and
about that. And
big.
what kind of trophy is that?
It's amazing.
That's a great story.
It's amazing.
Yeah, that's
you
very
know what?
cool.
It gets nasty, that series. And cricket is a very civilized sport, at least it used to be. You know,
Yeah.
you mentioned the tea breaks, the cucumber sandwiches.
Yeah.
They break for lunch. But these two teams don't like each other at all. And in the most recent Ashes, which the 4th test I think starts tomorrow actually, in the 3rd test there were issues when Australia went off the field through all the major big fans are sitting, and all the guys making the big money, they were going back and forth, sledging, they call it, back and forth, trash talking it. Very unlike cricket, but it's getting quite nasty.
Yeah.
It's great.
Lots of betting involved with the Ashes as well?
Yeah, absolutely.
It is,
of course,
yeah.
It's a 5-day game, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of betting involved.
Okay.
I being working with Bet99 and talking with head of sportsbook and all that stuff. He's from Germany actually, but Europe and everything. And one of the stories he used to tell is that on Saturday morning at the pub, you'd go there and you'd bet on your soccer, Ladbrokes or whatever, your soccer, your cricket, and your darts.
Oh yeah, of course, and the horses.
Massive,
of course,
yes.
Just
I love the
huge.
ponies
Yeah.
down there.
Yeah, I used to watch a show called Grandstand. It was basically from 9 in the morning till 5 at night, nothing but back-to-back sports. And they'd always have tons of horse racing. It would drive me crazy because I didn't like horses back then. Didn't know what it was talking. Where's the football? Where's the cricket? Where's the snooker? Right, but it's a brilliant show, like this 8-hour show, non-stop, no commercials. BBC, right?
Wow.
Oh my
you guys would have
goodness.
loved it. It's still on
yeah.
now, I think.
Non-stop snooker. Sharms loves his snooker. I
love
know
the
that.
Hey,
snooker.
there's snooker betting. That's, and the season starts pretty soon, as
Yeah,
I'm sure
you
you
even
know.
had me betting snooker
I
futures.
did, yeah.
It's true.
Snooker futures.
Yes.
All right.
It happened.
We're going to bring it over to Canada.
Why
tell you.
not?
I love
man.
it.
Yeah.
I love it. During COVID, one of the few things that was on outside table tennis, there was darts. We're still rolling pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
And what's the one that's at Christmas time? Do you remember?
At Christmas time.
Just the World Championship?
Yeah,
The-
but I forget what it's called. I can't remember.
Oh,
It doesn't-
yeah.
There's 2 different series now, right?
Yeah. So and I remember watching the guy with the hair and everything, and
Yeah.
it was crazy. He
Best
won that.
Michael
Going
Van
to-
Gerwen, man.
Yeah, Van Gogh, yeah, that's right.
yeah.
Going to those games is on the bucket list. You go to a darts tournament, right?
So
you go there, you
exciting.
get all dressed up in costume, you just fire back the pints.
Ali Pali,
It's
right?
Ali Pali,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So much fun. It
Fancy
looks-
dress.
Yeah.
I love it.
Just YouTube it. It's just
The darts. The darts is fun. I think
Yeah.
that would be a great event. We should put one on. We'll go down to I don't know, Steam Whistle Brewery, rent it all out, and put the tables up and have a big event.
and the dart boards. And then there's some really good Canadian players.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Actually.
For
John
sure.
Part was a world champion.
Yeah. All right. That's it. We're done. All right.
Good darts. You didn't expect that, did you?
No. All right. We do have a segment planned, and it wasn't "Let's better know your British sports." It was "Lay your money down,"
Lay it
and
down.
we're going to
Lay it
get into
down.
a little bit of discussion of where you'd rather lay your money if given the opportunity. And speaking of futures, that's what we're going to talk about. But we'll start with one that I've enjoyed. We've talked about it a bit before. Rookie of the Year. 2 generational talents coming out this year in the NHL and the NBA. We saw a bit of Wenbenyama in Summer League, not much, but his second game was quite good. We've seen Connor Bedard, obviously, in the World Championships and playing for the Pats, etc. Start with you, Albert. Rookie of the Year. Who are you going to lay your money down on?
This is tough. I know Victor's number is out there, minus 160, I believe.
Yeah.
And based on
And that's way down. Before the draft, it was like minus 300.
Yeah, exactly. What I saw, I mean, from 2 games in the Summer League, he looks pretty good. Still pretty raw. He's going to be a really good player, but he has some competition, I think, in Scoot Henderson. I like the way he looks. He seems like a right now type of player. He can play in the NBA. He's running NBA sets. I like Scoot Henderson. I'm not taking anything away from Victor. I mean, he's 7'5". If he starts, hitting that midi game and making 3-point shots and driving and doing what he does, he's probably going to do it. But I'm going to go with Bedard.
Okay.
I just think who's up next in terms of who's going to battle them for that Calder? It's going to be
Fantilli or Carlson.
Yeah, I just from what I've seen with Bedard and how he can play and some of the pieces that are now around him, I think Bedard gets it done.
Yeah, it's a tough one, right? Because who's the second? Who's the competition for these guys? Brandon Miller, obviously competition too for Wenbenyama. He'll play more minutes, Wenbenyama, right? The Hawks might ease Bedard into it a little bit slower, but the supporting staff is better. They're addressing that. We've done it all the offseason. But I'm going with Wenbenyama, I think, in this one. Just because he's going to get more exposure, more playing time, more time in the court, perhaps, than Bedard will on the ice. So I'll go Wenbenyama. But my two generational talents, I mean, they're probably both going to get it, aren't they?
Probably.
Yeah, without injury, I think you would expect that. I don't sleep on Chet Holmgren, too. I really like him. He didn't play last year. He will be qualified for a Rookie of the Year spot. Fantilli has no chance of winning because Mike Babcock will play him 4 minutes and eventually send him down.
What
a great point.
I'm telling you.
That might be the trump card right there.
I'm telling you. So I'm going with Connor Bedard. I just think Victor Wenbenyama, we haven't seen it yet. He's a project, too. Like, obviously, not like they're not going to play him, but this is a 3-year plan, 4-year plan. Bedard, they're just still going to give him 20 minutes a night.
You know what? I also think maybe Victor doesn't need to do all that much to win Rookie of the Year.
Yeah,
like if he averages 11 points, 10 boards or something like that, and just being 7'5" and being a player that's able to do that, he might get those votes just for his entertainment value alone.
Although if he's avoiding the media, like he says he's going to be doing, then maybe he'll lose some votes.
Yeah, that's true.
Not in the public sphere.
Yeah. You cannot avoid the media.
Maybe the question should be
the Rookie of the Year.
If you were to put money on one of those players making the All-Star team,
Bedard.
who would it be?
Bedard.
Bedard?
Probably Bedard. Yeah.
Mainly because one player from that team has to go in the NHL and it doesn't have to in the NBA.
Again, this guy's dropping bombs here.
Yeah, so Bedard's
you
getting
look at the Spurs,
in.
you're like, who else is going to go?
But no one, because they don't all have to go. He'll be in the Futures game, though.
Oh, guaranteed.
Yeah. All right, let's get to the next one. Connor McDavid winning the MVP. You're already locked in. You're already locked in.
Why you guys got to bring this up?
I know. Or Shohei Ohtani winning the MVP next year. He's obviously locked in this year.
Yeah.
This is next year. So, because I was just shocked at McDavid's number. Now, you got value. Plus 125. He's now plus 105 to win. Yeah. I think Ohtani will probably be below plus money. So minus 125, minus 150, which is insane.
Yeah.
Who do you think has a better chance?
I just don't know. Who's the competition in the AL? I mean, you have Vladdy there. He's having an off year. Is he going to bounce back? Probably. Corey Seager, Bo Bichette are some guys that come to mind.
Assuming he's in the AL, of course.
Assuming he's in the AL. So there you go. Not knowing where he's going to be, I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to go McDavid.
Yeah.
Because as long as McDavid plays hockey, if he plays 60+ games, no one is beating him out. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
This is for next year, right?
Next year, yeah. Because Ohtani's already winning the MVP.
Well, listen, Ohtani's going to crumble under the pressure of $1 billion contract.
You think so?
Sure.
All right.
Well, say it's just the $600 million.
Yeah.
Or what we
cool
just mentioned
6.
last night, by the way, the derby.
Yeah.
They're interviewing numerous players about what it might look like, and guys are saying it could be $600 million. That's a lot of weight to carry on your shoulders.
It is. That's a good point.
Now, so far, listen, any pressure he's handled,
he's fine.
He's a unicorn. He's the greatest athlete, maybe in my memory, perhaps, in any sport. He's what he's doing right now. But McDavid's just so much better than everyone else right now, focusing on one thing, scoring only. One thing to worry about, Connor. So I'm going to go with Connor.
I feel like if McDavid wanted to go out and score 160 points, he could do it if he really wanted to and hog the puck and do whatever he wanted to. He just has that type of ability. No one is going to beat him out.
He should just decide I'm going to play goalie once every 5 days. I'll show you, Ohtani.
Yeah, I want to see Shohei.
Well, what's the comparative, right? In sports, there is none.
There
right?
is
that
none.
would be it.
It would be maybe in football playing both sides of the ball.
But one of those roles would have to be quarterback, I think.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Or running back. You have to have the ball a lot because he's pitching, right? That is a big control situation once every 5 days.
Yeah, it's hard to find.
And then being batting anywhere. 2 or 3 in the lineup too. Yeah, it's wild what he does. It would be playing goalie every 5 days. That's kind of the only thing I can think of.
And being a stud too.
Yeah,
not just some backup that lets in 5 every night.
Yeah, no. You're up for the Vezina.
Yeah, exactly.
And the Rocket.
Isn't that crazy to think about?
Nuts.
Connor McDavid up for the Vezina and the Rocket 2024 NHL season.
If Connor played goal, would he be able to get assists, do you think? Is his passing that strong?
Oh, what a saucer. Are you kidding me?
Well, plays with no goalie stick, plays with a real hockey stick, so then he can start breaking the puck out.
Now we're talking.
Now we're talking, yeah.
He'd rock an Osgood helmet for sure. A little tight helmet.
Love it. All right. Big announcement today. Well, it's reports, but announcement basically. October 28th, we're going to have Tyson Fury against Francis Ngannou in the ring, not the cage. We were talking about what the odds may or may not be. I said, basically it should be minus 10,000 for Tyson Fury. This is a different sport. We're talking about being able to do 2 things. They're not super different sports because obviously there's punching in both, but boxing and fighting in a cage or an MMA are two different things. So we're not going to decide where you're going to lay your money down because really you'd have to lay it with Fury. But both of these guys, you made a great point off the air, James, was that there are other fights in their actual sport who they should actually be fighting if we're trying to make that sport have the biggest fight possible, and that is Fury against Usyk and Jones against Ngannou. Lay your money down. Start with you, James, because it was your idea. What fight is most likely to happen?
I'm going to say Usyk Fury because they pay their athletes properly. Until Dana starts paying his athletes properly, you're not going to see that fight, which is a real shame because you want to see them both in their prime, and Jones might be past his prime, we think maybe, possibly, but still, it would be a fight you want to see. But I think Usyk, as much as I don't think it's happening anytime soon, and I hope it doesn't become a Pacquiao-Mayweather situation here, Fury against Usyk makes so much sense in every way, including money. I mean, they can make that work money-wise. I just hope it happens because who cares about MMA fighting boxers right now?
Yeah.
When these fights are there to be made. Make it. I want to see Fury tested. I haven't seen that for a while. How great can he be? Is he the best of all time? Let's just figure that out right now. And we went on that from fighting Ngannou.
Yeah, last time he was truly tested was against Deontay Wilder, where he did the Undertaker. He came back from being dead and won the fight. I think both will actually end up happening. But more likely to happen, I'm with you. It's Usyk and Fury. That's the fight to make in boxing. Everyone knows it. Fury knows it. Usyk knows it. And I also believe that the Jones and Ngannou one will happen, I don't think, in the UFC. I think once Jones's contract is done, or maybe he cuts out early, PFL would love to make that happen, I think.
They would love to be associated with that. But I'll say I think it's the boxing fight, too. I think that one is just, there isn't as much like... organization against organization now that Ngannou's moved over.
Boxing.
Yeah, exactly. So last question. I thought this would be fun. It's the summer, and wanted to lay your money down. This is for what you could purchase. Would you rather purchase tickets to your favorite band playing in their hometown or your favorite sports team playing in their hometown? James?
It's so difficult.
Come on, Sharms.
And okay, I might be a little bit controversial here. I'm going to say the concert.
Yes!
Just because I know I'm going to come out enjoying that, having a great time. I've been burned too much by the Leafs and by Liverpool and by England. You know, and I've been to all these venues and watched them play, and they never won, right? And I leave that, having spent all that money, all those expectations, with nothing but heartbreak, and I'm devastated. I go and see, say Liam and Noel make up and go see Oasis. Freddie Mercury comes back from the dead, and I see Queen.
Yeah.
I know that I'm leaving that show, and I'm freaking happy. I'm having a great time, best night of my life.
Yeah.
That's the reason I'm saying it.
Love it. Albert?
Yeah, I'd watch Tottenham in London by far. I mean, unless Prodigy comes back from the dead and Mobb Deep can do a concert, then but no, it's going to be watch Tottenham in London.
I thought you were going to say sports. I'm glad you said concert. The reason why I thought it was because the one thing about it's like me saying the Leafs at Scotiabank Arena. Like nobody cares about that. But saying Anfield or saying like those are like actual those are cathedrals of sports.
Anfield's pretty amazing. It really is.
I'm going with the Killers in Vegas, baby. All right. James, thanks very much for joining us.
You.
Appreciate it. Sara Porraria is going to be joining us after this to let us know what's going on at the Sportsbook. All right, welcome back to Bet99's The Parleh Show. Here to wrap it up is Sara Porraria. She is going to let us know what's going on a busy day in sports.
Midsummer Classic.
Midsummer July, yeah. Well, listen, guys, it's the All-Star game in the MLB. Obviously, big for baseball. You guys are going to be watching it after the home run derby, I assume.
I'll watch some of it.
Yeah.
It's a pretty boring game.
It benefits from being the only thing on. Let's say that.
I got to bet it to watch it. I'm not going to lie.
There's tennis that's on. We'll get into that, but we'll start with this. American League are the 1.5 point favorites, plus 180 over the National League. Yeah. Do what you want with that information.
Yeah, no, fair. It is usually a low-scoring game, so that's a tough one. I see why it's plus 180.
Yeah, the last 3, 7 or less runs. I think one of the last 6 actually went over the 7. So I want to bet the over, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen. Too many good pitchers.
All right. What about Wimbledon? We already saw big upsets today.
Yeah, we did. Swiatek out. Favorite of the tournament, so that's huge.
Wow.
Yeah, so tomorrow we have Keys, the American, taking on Sabalenka. No shock here. Sabalenka's the heavy favorite, minus 193. She's ranked number 2 in the world. She should be getting through. And then we also have later on Ons Jabeur, number 6, taking on, say her name.
Rybakina.
Rybakina.
That's right.
So I should be putting my money where?
Rybakina. But that's just going to be a great game for tennis. Ons Jabeur is a great tennis player. Rybakina is a great tennis player. This is two of the best women's tennis players right now.
Yeah.
So it should be a great game. But yes, Rybakina is the favorite. And then over to the men's side, Djokovic is actually playing Rublev right now. Lost the first set.
Whoa!
Very exciting.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens there. But Medvedev taking on Eubanks, the American who's getting through. But it is Medvedev who is the favorite, minus 500. And then later on, Carlitos, the favorite against Rune, as expected, but it's getting down the quarterfinals, so kind of all the matches are getting really exciting. So.
I'm really excited about that Alcaraz-Rune match.
Yeah.
2 20-year-olds going at it. That's going to be really, really good.
It's the next generation of tennis.
Yeah. And the Jabeur-Rybakina match is pretty exciting, too. Do you think Sabalenka's tournament to lose?
Now it is, 100%.
Yeah, well, now that's what I mean. Yeah,
100%. But I mean, the Ons Jabeur-Rybakina match is also, I mean, the winner of that, I think, will go the distance as well. So it should be interesting. But yeah, really excited for the men's side, especially if we see Rublev knock out Djokovic.
I would love to see that. Sorry, Joker. We don't need to see you winning the calendar Grand Slam. All right, Sarah, thank you very much for joining us. We'll get into tennis a bit more tomorrow. But for Albert and Rob, this has been Bet 99's The Parleh Show, and we'll see you tomorrow.